Welcome to Big Hoss's Tailgate.
And we're off. So, what's going on? I'm with Mr. Buddy Flip. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good.
Are you from Pittsburgh?
No, originally from New York, from New York City.
Oh,
we
okay.
moved to Pittsburgh about almost 8 years ago.
Oh, really?
For family reasons, basically.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of the right time in your life kind of thing to do. A whole chapter was ending in New York, and so it seemed like the right thing to do. And I think it was.
Dang.
I like Pittsburgh. Great city.
I didn't know that about you. I thought you were like from Pittsburgh and like...
And just spoke with a New York accent just for effect.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I'm like, man, it's a real comic now. Because everyone who tells me, they say, if you want to get good at stand-up, move to New York.
Well, that's where I developed stand-up, I guess you'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, a little ironic, because I was more of a road comic. So I lived in Manhattan. I started in Manhattan. But my natural, whatever came out of me, my natural act really lent itself more to the road than to the New York City clubs. So I worked mostly out of town, but then I started working at a New York City club where I ended up sort of managing and working there for a long time, and that was kind of like my home base and stuff. So that was cool.
Dope. So,
Did you call me a dope?
No, I said, no. Nice. You got me on that one. That's okay. That's one thing I'm trying to learn for the comics is trying to tell when someone's joking with you and when they're serious. Because I've seen guys where I'm like, oh, there's a lot of tension in here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where the jabs are going and you're like, oh, that was real.
Yeah. It's weird because that's a big part of humor now is irony, is being ironic. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I got to admit, I can't tell when someone's being ironic and when they're not. You know, I feel kind of a little foolish sometimes, like watching something going, is it supposed to be like this? Am I missing something? Kind of.
Yeah, because you're watching like some of these, like, I think there was like some podcast I seen where like the host went away for a bit, and like when they came back, they're like, yeah, they said, I'm kind of done with the podcast. I think we're going to quit. And then they're like, yeah, we're not quitting. Like, it was like, but it was like, I don't get it. Why would you go through and do this whole thing? Like,
I love that we're 2 minutes into this whole thing and we're already ragging on stuff.
I know.
So much for peace and love and hope.
Well.
I also love that you got this thing going. I feel like I'm watching my heartbeat while I'm doing this thing. Because there's some sort of, I guess, audio radar range that's showing us as we speak, so it's kind of like you're watching, and it's not good. If that's my heart, it's not good. The way it's going up and down. So.
Yeah, it's kind of a yeah.
Now
they flatline.
I didn't do that.
when you go quiet, it's like flatline.
That's what they say in show business. Dead air. That's why they call it dead air.
Yeah.
Because you're. All right, anyway, I'm not being on. I just saw that thing and it.
Yeah. Oh no, I believe you.
I'm paranoid because he said don't be on, and I want to be on, but I saw that thing and it kind of took my attention. We smoked a big one before this thing started, so my mind is all over the place. I got to tell you right now. I was already buzzed before I got here, but he upped the buzz.
Yeah, it has a tendency to creep up on you sometimes. You know,
I was in an Uber once, and the guy sold me a joint in the Uber.
Oh, that's
it was a massive, wonderful, big. It was $10. It was a massive, wonderful joint. Sold it to me in the Uber.
That's when you negotiate with hey, listen, I'll give you 5 stars. You knock it off 50%. You start negotiating a little bit.
You bring out a giant joint, then I am putty.
Yeah, because I'm giving you 5 stars.
And I'm in the Uber. I'm in the Uber, sitting in the back, and the guy's delivering a joint to me while I'm in the Uber. I mean, it's yes, whatever you want. Yes.
Oh man,
it was very impressive though.
So St. Patty's Day, right? I lost my phone in an Uber. And here I'm freaking out because I wake up the next day hungover, like, where's my phone? Oh, God, who do I even call to say, like, hey, I lost my phone? And I walked out and here my phone's sitting right at the bottom of the doorstep. Like, he brought it back.
Really?
And I was like, tipped him double. Like, great man. Like, you're a hero and everything like that. Praised him. Even, like, wrote into Uber saying how great of a guy he was. You know what Uber decides to do to me? They send me an email saying, hey, did this happen? We're like, yeah. And they go, cool. As a token of us bringing it back, we're taking like $20 off your account.
Wow.
I was like, oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Like, I already tipped him double, but now you're taking money again? Like,
Wait, they took money out of your account?
Yeah, like, as a reward for us bringing it back to you, we took $20 off your account. I was like, that's like taking money out of the wallet as you hand it back to somebody.
Can they do that? I guess they did it. So
yeah,
that's one thing we've learned recently. In general, I'd say the last few years, people can pretty much do almost anything they want to do without any sort of legal ramification if they're big enough.
Yeah, because we link our bank accounts to everything.
But that's always been the way, hasn't it? It's always been like that.
Yeah,
it's always been like the big get what they want, and that's and the rest you're lucky if you just get through.
I've been listening to a lot of George Carlin lately.
Oh my God! Don't start me with Carlin.
And it's that it's a big club and you ain't in it. And it's just stuck in my head.
I got to tell you, I'm an atheist, right? What a shock! I'm an atheist, and Carlin is as close as I'll get to religion, because he says things that are so crystal clear, so perfect, that it's almost like I want to believe in something here, because the idea of it's a big club, you ain't in it. The idea of the owners of this country, the real owners of this country, the illusion of choice.
Yep.
I know I'm kind of like, now I'm stuttering, but
so what was your favorite thing of yours of Carlin, like movie wise, stand up?
Well, it's stand up, and I'd probably say it was. Strangely enough, his later specials on HBO, not the last few. The last few I thought weren't as funny as usual, in my opinion. Just my opinion. He was I thought kind of a little more like old cranky than old funny. But there was a great one called "You Are All Diseased," which was a brilliant one, and it was just that sort of real cut to the chase, sort of, the way he was. Now, the great thing about Carlin, too, by the way, was that Carlin wasn't afraid of doing some old hacky joke. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't like a comic who might take themselves too seriously. I won't name names. In the big realm, big comics, right?
Yeah.
Who are social commentators and stuff like that, Carlin would turn around and do like a fart joke, or my cat farted joke, or even, unfortunately at the time, a gay joke, like, show me a what was it? Show me a tropical fruit and I'll show you a cocksucker in a Hawaiian shirt, and of course at the time he could get away with it. But the point was, I just thought he was brilliant. And I thought it went past kind of stand up for me,
Like, he's a guy that's like, the reason why the censors are so good is because of him, like his wording with stuff, where he could get them. It's like, he technically just said something really dirty, and we can't really censor him.
Well, that's his whole brilliant thing, the words, balls. He had that whole thing about balls. The guys at the baseball game could say he's got 2 balls on him, but you can't say I think he hurt his balls. I mean, that kind of stuff, just brilliant. And we're talking like 1972.
Yeah,
we're talking like over 50. I can remember being like 12 or something, and I got the record. I think it was Class Clown, and that had the 7 dirty words. I think it had. Again, I'm going on memory. I'm sorry if I'm, and I sat down in my living room with my father, and it's hard to explain to young people today how much more adversarial parents and children were 50 years ago. Okay, the boomers grew up. Boomers, all right, had kids and were like pals with our kids, and we both liked the Rolling Stones and shit like that. No, when I was a kid, parents were parents, kids were kids. They liked Glenn Miller, we liked the Beatles. Nothing came close. So we sat in this room, and he was already a very modest man, and we put the record on, and it said on the cover, "Unexpurgated Carlin." I didn't know what unexpurgated meant. It means all the dirty words are there.
Oh.
We sat there, and the record starts, and he's cursing, and me and my father stared straight ahead, didn't look at each other for like 30 minutes. And the record was over, put the record away, never spoke of it. Never spoke of it. Filthy words, and we just sat there like...
Did they even laugh?
I don't remember if we laughed or not. I think we were both so mortified. I was 12, he had to have been like 40 or something like that.
So I remember... So what's weird is Carlin is like in every part of like my life. Like, from being a kid, he was on Thomas the Tank Engine.
That's right.
He was Mr. Conductor.
That's right, yeah.
And then then you listen to the stand-up where he goes, "I don't give a fuck about your kids." He goes, and that's coming from Mr. Conductor.
Yes, that's a great.
Oh, damn, yeah. I really like that too.
Yeah.
But I like loved his animated works and stuff like that. And then as you get into your teenage years, you got Kevin Smith movies.
That's right. He's
in all those.
Right. He's in one of the Bill and Ted films too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in both.
Both of them.
Yeah, well, okay. The first and second one,
Yeah.
They slipped him in the third one a little bit. They kind of like give him a little cameo.
And then a lot of those guys became kind of iconic. You know, like when I was growing up, they were working comics. Guys like Carlin, guys like Don Rickles, who I worship. And then like in the 70s, 60s, 70s, working comics. In some degree, again, this is all my opinion, in the 80s, they fell a little out of fashion, right? But then like in the 90s, they come back as elder statesmen of show business.
They were the dirty old men.
Kind of, I guess. Or they just weren't fashionable. I can remember seeing Don Rickles on Letterman in the 80s, and Letterman was very uncomfortable because Rickles was doing his racist shtick. Ooh. On Letterman. He was sitting next to Denzel Washington, and Letterman's kind of like, you know. Whereas
I love watching that because when he starts going in on Denzel is so happy because he loved him. He was just sitting there like...
People loved getting roasted. Now, you've probably seen a lot of those clips online where he's roasting big stars, and they love it. He's got there's 2 or 3 great clips of him roasting Clint Eastwood. They were good friends, apparently, and he is ripping into him, and they love it. They love it.
When he gets De Niro...
Oh, De Niro. The scene the outtakes from Casino.
Really?
Absolutely. Yeah. Go in your trailer. Yeah. Go in your pop-up trailer. Read the fucking lines.
And he just starts cracking up. And they said, if anyone else did that to him, he'd probably choke you.
I would say Rickles is it's such a horrible metaphor. Rickles is in my Mount Rushmore comedy.
That's fair.
If everyone has a Rushmore comedy, mine would be Carlin, Rickles. I can't believe I'm going to say this. The rapist Cosby. He would be in the list too.
Cosby. That's my first stand-up special. Seeing Cosby, Bill Cosby himself.
Oh, that is such a brilliant special. He sits down the whole time. You understand that?
Yeah.
We're supposed to stand up. That's part of the job. Stand-up comedy. I'm not crazy about comics. Sit down. He sits down the whole fucking time, and it works. He even uses the chair a couple of times when he pretends to be the baby. He leans back in the chair. Brilliant.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Like it's clean. Absolutely. The dirtiest joke is pull my finger at the very end.
Me and my family still laughs at the joke whenever he's like, his dad he thought his name was Damn It.
Oh yeah.
And he goes, but Dad, I'm Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
My family howls laughing at
my
that. My
wife and I still do bits like from that to each other about the wife beating the kids.
Yeah. And then I was watching the Cosby Show, and he was literally saying the jokes in the opening.
Yeah.
Like the first
it's amazing.
Episode.
I didn't like the Cosby Show at all. I loved him. Saw him when I was 17. I saw him. Sorry.
No,
and
you're good.
and he did a lot of the material when I was 17 that he would do several years later in by himself. He was so funny. But the show did nothing for me. I don't know why. Yeah. And he had the other show before. He had a show in the 70s where he plays a basketball coach at a high school. And he had Fat Albert when I was a kid, the cartoon where he played Fat Albert, the voice, brilliant.
Then there's I Spy.
He was like the first black leading man on network television, Cosby and I Spy.
The bad part is, what happened is that he was all that stuff came out about him right when he was signing this big deal with NBC, where it was gonna he was gonna do he was basically gonna have a lot of black programming. And then all of a sudden that scandal came out. Now, and the thing is, people have known this for years.
That's what I heard, right? That people knew about it for a long time. You could say the same thing about Jeffrey Epstein, I'm afraid. Yeah.
People knew that for years, and it's like now all of a sudden it's like...
Yeah. It's just strange because he was just arguably one of the greatest stand-ups of all time. Unfortunately... a rapist, so it's kind of and I hate to say this because I'm not defending a rapist, but what am I supposed to do? Deny art? I'm supposed to not, I love the Beatles more than anything on this planet, but John Lennon smacked his wife, like both his wives, once or twice. Am I supposed to dismiss everything?
It's you have to acknowledge
at least
he did do this.
At least I think in John Lennon's defense, he grew as a human and realized it was wrong and changed, but. It's your right to tell me that I'm wrong to listen to him, but I'm still going to listen to him.
Yeah. I mean, then there's the whole, how about everybody grew up with this story about John Wayne going after the Native American woman on stage.
Oh, yeah.
Then, all these years later, it turns out she wasn't even Native American. And her family came out and said, like, yeah, that never happened.
Yeah.
I was reading about that. I was like, what?
I think it's just a shame that, and I hate to sound like that guy, but I think it's just a shame that, the circus that surrounds celebrity kind of overtook the idea that there was supposed to be a message there, In particular, I'm a big Brando fan.
It's not even a bad message, though.
No, it's a perfectly good message to especially in 1972 or something, to alert people a little more to the to the Native American. I don't want to get into a whole big thing here, but yeah, we fucked them real good, and we never really apologized for it. I think.
Oh yeah.
I was just watching someone the other day who was just saying about how it was kind of like our first great sin. We always talk about slavery as our first great sin as a nation. Again, my opinion, folks. But it really was the American Indian, Yeah. And he was just trying to let people be more aware of that, 70s was big with that. 70s was big, like everyone got their first sort of breakout.
Yeah.
Gay, women, Native Americans, African Americans, sort of breaking out of this sort of 50s and 60s.
That's what always got me is that the 70s, every kind of movie had, like, that's when you started seeing diversity and stuff. Look how many Burt Reynolds movies, like Cannonball Run. There's gay characters in that. Like, there's all
they parody that shit. I was just watching a clip from the Dean Martin. I like to watch a lot of that old crap, right? I was watching a clip of the Dean Martin show, and it was Dean and a great character actor, Peter Falk, in a car, and they were gangsters, like Italian American gangsters.
Yeah.
And the car broke down, and Paul Lynde, who was this gay comic actor at the time, was the mechanic. Every joke was homophobic off the charts joke.
Oh, big time. But I'm pretty sure he was in on the joke.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because that's what those men did back then. They didn't say they were gay. No one said they were gay. Guys like Paul Lynde, guys like Charles Nelson Riley, they didn't say they were gay. They were effeminate. And so the joke was about, and back then when I was a kid, they were called a sissy. People knew I suppose what homosexuality was in the early 60s, but as a young child in the 60s, you had no idea what this stuff was.
It is crazy. Like, if you look in the 50s and 60s, like, you can tell who's gay. Like, if you look at Rock Hudson, you would not be able to tell that man
at the time
was gay.
At the time.
But he also had, like, this agent that, like, made him into, like, a man. Like,
sure.
Like, knock it off. Like, this is what you're doing.
Right.
It's weird.
It's weird, but it's also show business. And the reality is, in certain cases, not exactly the same thing you're saying, but in certain things that are allegory, or not the right word, that compare well, it still happens. Stuff is still hidden, because celebrities, movies, records, they make millions of dollars. And when millions of dollars are at stake, people will lie and change. And by the way, we're talking about movies and celebrity. We're not talking about fact-based journalism, science. We're talking about celebrity.
Yeah.
I tell my wife all the time, because I worked a little bit in TV when I was younger, nothing you see on TV is real. Nothing. Every single thing you see on TV has been made specifically for you to see it just that way. Maybe somebody with a camera goes out, they shoot some wildlife or something like that. But even then, think about the stuff you watch, how prepared it is, multi-cameras, sound that doesn't get cut. This is all signs that it's been fucked with. It's been edited on purpose. Yeah. Millions of dollars are at stake. They're not going to let any fucking thing get through. That's my, again, personal opinion. They should have a little thing goes underneath, like author's message. Author's message.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Flatlining. We're flatlining.
The
show's flatlining.
No. We're fine.
I got to get up and do a dance or something.
No, you're fine.
But let me ask you.
Yes, sir.
What is your goal with comedy?
My goal?
Yeah.
Just to make people laugh. Just to know that I made people, like, just to be good enough to make people laugh.
Well, that's a great thing.
Like, I don't have, like, it'd be nice to murder, like, murder a room and stuff like that.
You just said a room. I was like, it'd be nice to murder.
In terms of comedy, like, it'd be nice to, like, kill a room and stuff and be great. But as long as I get people to laugh, I'm good.
That's good. Anyone I know that's been doing it for a long time just loves that.
Yeah.
A lot of people start. I shouldn't say a lot of people start now, because I don't know why people start now. I remember a lot of people starting because they thought it was a path to celebrity. They thought it was a path to fame or something like that. And then I think after a certain amount of time, you realize it's not by any stretch of the imagination. And then the test comes. Do you love it enough to keep going, or are you going to just say, well, that didn't work out and move on to something else? And most people I know that are doing it 10, 20, more than 20 years, fame and fortune, they knew that ship sailed a long time ago. They just love it. They just love doing it. They love getting the laughs. They love murdering.
That, and I just like helping people out too, like my buddies and stuff. Like, you know, it'd be like, I always like putting people on my podcast. Like, I've had guys on who've never done a podcast before, because it's like, yeah, why not help them out? Give them a little, like, hey, if you ever see this guy, check him out. Sometimes they might never do stand up again. Who cares? He was still a fun person to talk to.
Yeah. I haven't done many. I tell you, I've been a comic a long time. Actually, I've been a comic a lot longer than there have been podcasts. And I might have done a handful by now. I don't know. It just never really popped up, you know. I have been a comic for a long time, and I've just really, I suppose, concentrate on getting gigs and working live, you know.
So when did you start?
1990.
Okay.
So that's 35 years ago. It's funny because now I'm getting to a part where
I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to hurt you.
I'm just getting to a part now where I'm not. It sounds weird saying 35 years. There was a part where it's kind of cool where you go like, how long are you doing comedy? You go like 22 years. Wow, yeah. 22 years. How long are you doing comedy? Like 27 years. Like, wow, 27. But then you hit the 30 and you're like, 30 years. Now the voice changes. 30. I did a show a couple of weeks ago, and this girl brings me up, and she says, our next comic has been doing comedy for almost 40 years. I'm like, don't say that 40 years. I sound like a fucking mummy. I'm going to come up like wrapped up. You know, like, 40 years? Nobody wants to see somebody doing something for 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, 35 years. And it's a long story, which I'll really try to make short. I was doing a musical comedy act, not like stand-up, you know, like a character. And somebody saw me in one place, and then in the same venue, there was another room where they were doing stand-up, and they brought me up, they threw me up there, and I had a guitar, and I sang song parodies, and there was a room full of people, and I crushed. I mean, crushed. And they actually said, come back tomorrow. They were so excited. I came back the next night, and I died like a dog the next night. But it got me kind of like interested in it, so I pursued it. And my goal to move to Pittsburgh 27 years later came true.
So like, what was like when you went on tour? Like, you know, like who was like the first comic like took you out on tour?
Well, it sounds so grand when you say it like that, on tour. You know, like.
Well, I mean, like touring, like, you know, like, oh hey, we're doing a couple states and stuff, like, you know, like how everybody like.
Well, no one actually took me out. That kind of stuff I kind of built myself. You know, you make a lot of connections, and you go to a lot of one-nighters, and then suddenly you know enough people to put something together, or you work for some, I'm sure they still have them, you work for a particular booking agency that actually has a week or 2 weeks or a month of work set for you, and then you drive, you know, I mean, now I'm talking about the late 90s, the early 2000s, where I would drive from PA to Kentucky and then go from Kentucky to West Virginia.
And you guys did that without GPS.
Yes.
Like, that's the thing. Yes. You guys were using the Atlas maps.
I had a big book full of pages of maps in my car.
You guys hung out all the rest stops and everything.
Yeah. There was in a lot of directions. You know, it's funny because I drive a lot of places nowadays with that GPS, and I actually don't remember how I did it. I don't remember how, because some places aren't easy to get to. You know, you gotta have some guys give you directions, like get up this hill 2 blocks, make a left this big rock. Yeah.
I have to use the GPS to get to my parents' house, and I grew up there. Like, I should know how to get there.
Talk about repressing memories.
But, like, you just start driving, like, even around Pittsburgh, like, everywhere I go and stuff, I have to use the GPS because...
Well, first of all, Pittsburgh is set up in the most... I love Pittsburgh, but it's set up in the most fucked up manner. I'm spoiled. I come from New York. Everything's a grid. Literally, everything's like this. I live on the corner of this block. I go east 3 blocks. And here it's like you built the city as you went along.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, look, there's a mountain here. Well, we'll go through the mountain, and we'll go on the other side. Oh, look, there's a river here. We'll build and it kind of meanders around. And the first year I moved here, I Ubered because I wanted to, besides make a little money, I really wanted to learn the lay of Pittsburgh, and Ubering's a great way to. And I mean, I've been coming back and forth Pittsburgh. My wife's in Pittsburgh for like 20 years. I never realized what a giant hilly mountain Pittsburgh is.
Oh yeah, and then it's like during the wintertime you want to get these 0-degree weathers, and you got ice all down. Yeah,
you're not going anywhere. You're staying home from. The first year I was here, I was driving up. First of all, everything in Pittsburgh is named. It gives you a clue. Mount Olive, Squirrel Hill. I live in Penn Hills. Everything is Mount or hills. It tells you in the words, in the title. I moved here. There are houses that are being held up on the sides of mountain by sticks. Carports being held up by sticks coming out of the mountain holding their car up. Or houses where you have to walk down on the side of the mountain to get to the house. No offense to anybody watching or listening who lives in these things. Wow. I mean, and steep, and I have a fear of heights. I went up Mount Washington, and I was genuinely scared driving. I was like in the car like this. I'm like, like you need to.
Oh yeah.
And is it tiny little roads?
Especially like those little tiny bridges and stuff, and like, hey, there's a little side alley, and here the road turns down. And there's a big, huge like cement thing that you might.
Simple. You go
good.
from downtown across the you go towards the Tubes, right? You go across that bridge, and you can turn off, and then you take roads along the mountain, and there are some private roads. I drove down one private road, and it came to a dead end, and there's a house, and there's a fucking drop into like 1,000-foot drop. That's it. I made, how you make like a 3-point U-turn? I made a 52-point U-turn until I didn't look. I didn't look the whole time that way. Don't look.
Yeah, it looks the same as Austin Powers when he's trying to get out of that tunnel.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was so frightening. But that said, I love Pittsburgh. Great city. Great. It's weird. Coming from New York, I didn't know what to expect.
And the worst part is, it's like, how do you fix this? You can't.
No. And everyone works around it. Everyone's fine with it. But Pittsburgh's a great city. I came here, and the comedy community had just been wonderful. I mean, really, from everybody I met or turned to from when I got here, even up to you, you called me out of nowhere, said, so you want to come and do it? Yeah, sure. Now, I'm not saying New York isn't a supportive, because New York's very supportive, but New York, like everything with New York, is massive. Mm-hmm. So instead of like, maybe a couple of hundred local comics, there's like a couple of 10,000 local comics. So there's groups and stuff, but it's super competitive. I think that's what makes you, this is a bold thing to say, I think it makes you a better comic coming from New York, because I think there's just more competition. There's more competition, and there's more places to perform. Mm-hmm. That's the key. And now here, from what I could tell, you either get a gig, like a paid gig, or you do an open mic. Mm-hmm. Because there isn't someone's calling to complain already. See, they're watching.
Oh no, that's the time where I have to go check the camera here soon. Yeah, what was your thought?
Yeah, there's a lot of open mics here, so everyone goes and they support each other, and that does happen in New York too. But there's a lot of other, a lot more clubs that have open mics, although I'm not a big club open mic fan, and a lot more bars and restaurants in the tri-state area. So you have a lot more opportunity to perform, and you have a lot of competition, which I hope makes you a little sharper, or what's the word? Inspires you to be sharper, because you got to be sharper than the next 10 or 20 guys.
Yeah, I have a good group of comics right now I've been hanging out with. And like everyone's getting like really good, so like now you're sitting there at home like, I got to come up with better material here. Like these guys are smashing right now, and I have to be like, I have to be on their level. So it's like totally understand what you're saying.
That one-liner show is a great example, because I did the one-liner show now 3 years in a row, and the first year, in my opinion, I went up and I did like my best one-liners, and they did really well. And I think by the time I got to the third year, I had gotten to like the end of the one-liners that I had that I was ready to use. And so now I'm already thinking next year, a year ahead. And I'm thinking, you know what? I got to write some kick-ass, non-dad joke one-liners to do with this thing because it's a great show, and I just, but it's inspired me to come up with better stuff. A lot of the comics there had great one-liners, really great one-liners. And and it's weird because this is going to sound like the part where, so fucking hokey, but it sounds so stupid. I do kind of learn from watching the younger comics, because watching younger comics gives me a sense of what younger people think is funny and younger people like and don't like, and they surprise me and they're funny a lot of times. It's weird. It seems like a higher caliber. It seems years ago when I would see, maybe that's a New York thing. I've seen younger comics in New York years ago, and they would always be so fucking loud and yelling and cursing like they were on Howard Stern or something like that. It was weird. But no, I don't see that here.
Yeah, like everyone's like you have those guys, but then you also have like other comics that are way more relaxed. So it's I think we have a nice like diverse group. Give me 1 second. I'm going to check the camera real quick, and we'll be right back. And we're back.
We finished that joint, and now we're ready.
Yeah. Now we're back. Now we're back on track.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was telling you like before. I said I was trying to get some information on you because, like I said, I've seen you in passing and stuff, and I didn't really know much about you. So I asked AI, and AI spit out some cool things, and I was like wanting to ask you about them. But I'm like, how do you bring this up without it's like, hey man, like, what do you do? Like, what happened here?
I'm afraid to ask what AI said about me.
Oh no, it mentioned like Comedy Central and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So like, when did you get a chance to be on there?
It's embarrassing because I was on Comedy Central in 1995.
Oh, okay.
That's how long ago it was. It was a show called Musical Shorts. They featured comics that did musical comedy, and I always had a little musical comedy in my act. Mm-hmm. And so I was in a brief segment there that was hosted by Debbie Mazur. And I was on MTV's Headbangers Ball in the late 90s with Stuttering John from the Howard Stern Show. Because I had done a little bit of stuff, very little stuff, with the Howard Stern Show in the 90s.
That was like during the peak, right? Like right when Private Parts was out?
Yeah. He had I don't think, was he on Sirius? Yeah, I'm not even sure he was on Sirius. No, he was still on regular radio.
Yeah, it was on, he'd been, was that K-Rock?
Yeah, he was on K-Rock. He had a local show in New York, a tri-state area show he wasn't nationally on TV yet. He had a Howard Stern show on WOR Channel 9, and he had tons of freaks on the show, and I was one of many freaks. I'll be honest, the only reason I got on the show was it turned out a friend of mine that I'd gone to school with was a producer on the show, and he knew I had this, at the time, again, I had this sort of crazy act where I had a big pompadour, really big sunglasses, and this big pompadour like Elvis, all this fake gold jewelry like Mr. T. That's what I premised it on Mr. T. I even bought like a couple of Mr. T home jewelry kits that I wore, and some really tacky like showbiz out, like double-breasted blue jacket with a red ruffled shirt, because the character was supposed to be like this failed lounge singer. I don't even know if people know what a fucking lounge singer even is anymore, but he was supposed to be this failed singer kind of character, Buddy Flip, originally, because me and some friends made a short documentary, a mockumentary about this guy named Buddy Flip, who was a singer who didn't quite make it, but he's trying to make a comeback, kind of tongue-in-cheek, ironic, he's being interviewed, and he's, obviously like this loser career, I recorded some songs, we made a little documentary, we tried to sell it, it didn't sell, it didn't go anywhere. But then I had this character I made, this Buddy Flip character. So I was living.
If you still have it, dump it on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, you know what? It's not a bad idea. I should have never thought of that. Huh.
Yeah, that's what I would do, because I think you can upload to there.
Huh.
And people can rent it or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, or YouTube.
Yeah, I've been Yes, I've been lax. I've spent my whole time.
Because now, like, once you say that, I'm like, I kind of want to see it. You can't just.
I'll have to find it now.
Like, it's one of those things where, like, I love watching, like, things that are, like, unmade movies or, like, things that, like, were lost footage. Like, like, in 1994, the Fantastic Four were supposed to do a movie, and it was just made to keep the rights. That was it. It was never meant to be released.
Like a crappy one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And someone had a VHS copy, like, tucked away somewhere, and they just uploaded that to YouTube.
Now, how many Fantastic Four movies have they made?
Counting that one, I think there's been 5.
So, like, we're up to the Fantastic 20 so far. That's amazing.
I like the new one, though. The new one kind of had, like, 2001 vibes mixed with Interstellar. Like the vibes and everything, because it's like they have a very retro 60s look to the movie.
I was a big comic book fan, unfortunately, from like 1967 to about 1975, and then
you had the good comics then.
Yeah, they were 12 cents. I used to get, this is pathetic, I used to get a 60-cent allowance.
They're like $5 now.
I know, it's nuts. I was at a Sheetz, and I actually took a picture of it. I held it up and I took it and I posted. I'm like, $4 for a Superman comic? Are you serious? $4?
Anymore, you're better off just buying the big the big omnibuses and reading them that way.
It blew my mind. It blew my mind. You know, this has happened a lot, and here I go. Where's the soapbox? This has happened a lot as I've gotten older, and I guess there's no one to blame except, of course, the boomers, right? Because everyone blames the boomers for everything. Is we've taken all this shit that's supposed to be disposable pop trash. That's what it's supposed to be. And we made it into like some sort of glorified, iconic imageries and stuff that we put it in plastic bags so we don't fuck with. This isn't material. This is not stuff. This is just my general view. That's what I did with my comics. I either threw them away or my mom threw them away because they were comics. It wasn't Charles Dickens. It wasn't classics.
That's how my dad had the first Spider-Man comic. I said, Dad, do you know how much that comic's worth now? That's
my
about
son,
$250,000.
My son has an early Spider-Man. I'm not sure which one, but it's really early. It might be like number 18 or something like that. I remember being pissed because they were 12 cents, and before I was buying them, they were 10.
My brother has, whenever they redid the X-Men in the 90s, the first issue, where it was like a big double-page thing, he's like, yeah, this is actually kind of worth some money and stuff. I'm like, how many comics do you have that's like just worth money just hanging out in your... He just hangs on to them because he likes rereading them.
When I met my wife, my sons were her sons, to be my sons. They were already about 18 years old. And around that time, when that first X-Men movie came out, they each had a copy of Hulk 118, first appearance of Wolverine. They both sold one. They had more than one copy. They both sold one copy each for like $1,000 at that moment because it was so hot. You know, they can get that price for it. I remember
now.
Well, now forget it. I'm sure he still has it though. He has that, and he's the one that one of them still has like I said, the Spider-Man. I think it's 18. No, it might be even earlier than that. That's the one where Doc Ock has him in the Fantastic Four making an appearance. Is that like 3 or 4 or something like that?
I think that the first one's whenever the Fantastic Four is in it.
Then it might be the first one.
Yeah. That
I know I should be more on top of the. Sorry, viewers, I'm not more on top of my son's.
Oh no, you're good.
Collection.
Because trust me, I got the comic book stuff. I got the old toys and
I can
stuff.
still smell them. If I smell an old comic, I am back in my room in 1971.
Yeah, to have that musty paper smell.
Yes, absolutely.
My brother has some like X Factor comics from like the 80s that I've seen that.
I had a friend of mine who unfortunately just passed away. He was a comic book artist who worked. We met in college, and in the 80s he was the editor at Cracked Magazine. And actually hired me multiple times to write a bunch of stuff. I wasn't an artist, but I was a writer, so I have a bunch of writing credits for Cracked from the 80s. He went off to Marvel, and he was an editor at Marvel. We were going to do a big rock and roll comic book thing, but it didn't pan out.
It wouldn't be Jim Shooter, would it be?
No, I know that name, but it wasn't. His name was Mort. His stage name was Mort Todd. He was an artist named Mort Todd. He also did some great. He was a great artist, and he did a series of album covers for Crypt Records called Back from the Grave. All these 60s artists, 60s garage bands. And there's like 5 or 6 series, Back from the Grave. And he did a great, God damn, this is so old. He did a great cover for me for free for a single. This was a record, small record we put on the player, a single, in 1981 for a band I was in. And he came up with this great concept of us in the band, of there's 2 other guys and me in the band. We were underground in a coffin with Elvis. And Elvis was talking to us in this coffin, like giving us advice. That was the cover that he made for our single.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
You should get that on a T-shirt.
Interesting. I never thought.
I would get that on I'd buy that T-shirt. That's what I said. There's times I think of things now, and it's like, dang. I was like, someone should put that on a T-shirt.
It's weird. That's a big thing for comics. I don't see young comics do that at all. Merchandise.
Oh yeah,
that's a big thing.
Like me, I went and partnered up with this weird hat company. I always tell people I'm a whore. I'm selling myself out to like try and.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Make money so I can make the podcast better.
Yeah.
But yeah,
whatever
it's
it takes.
A trucker hat.
I used to
looks
sell
like
a
cowboy
CD.
hat.
It didn't do well, in my opinion. I sell a CD, it didn't do well, and then one day I came up with a shirt, and the shirt did well. So I kept the shirt for a long time. It's actually one of the jokes from the act. I saw a guy years ago I saw a couple of guys. One guy set up a shop after his set was over. He had a suitcase, and he'd go to the table, and he'd have shot glasses and bumper stickers and pens and all this shit to sell. And he sold shit, right? He sold because he had so much shit. Another guy I worked with, this is brilliant. Another guy I worked with sold a T-shirt that was a joke, wasn't in his act. The joke wasn't in his act. It was just something on the T-shirt that was funny, right? So, and this is why it was brilliant. It didn't matter if you liked him, if you liked his act, if you liked his jokes. It didn't matter. If you liked the T-shirt, you'd buy the T-shirt. And I'll tell you something else that's great about selling T-shirts versus CDs. Nobody will ever buy more than one. First of all, I know no one buys CDs anymore. I'm dating myself.
Yeah. If
you have some sort of recorded of your act, okay, whatever format they use now, do they use gas? I don't know. Whatever they use, no one will ever buy more than one, right? Mm-hmm. T-shirt, people will buy more than one. Oh, I'm buying one for my kids. I'm buying one for me. My boyfriend will love this. I had a person come up, buy 3 T-shirts. Same shirt for their kids. Never happened with a musical reproduction, not a audio reproduction, video reproduction.
I was gonna say, my buddy, there's a Nintendo 64 card up there, where it says Frank on it.
Oh yeah.
So my buddy has a band, and all of his music that he will ever put out is on that hard drive.
No way.
Yeah. He goes, you plug it into your computer. He goes, and you have access to any song, like stuff that he's written, like demos and stuff. You can listen to them.
That is wild.
So I was like, that is a brilliant. Like, think about if a comic did that and be like, hey, you can go and listen to me go to open mics.
I'm gonna put all my stuff on 8-track.
Yeah, you can hear me work out my material. Then everybody's gonna be like, oh no, I hear all your terrible thoughts. You don't get to see how it gets filtered out.
I guess when I started, we would actually have little tape recorders, and we'd sit and put our tape recorders in the back of the room and record ourselves, and then listen back to the tape. Now, forget it. I've seen guys with cameras that are like as big as pens that they'd stick on a tripod or clip something to themselves to get the audio. I don't know.
Yeah, because that they're trying to get their tape out from an open mic.
Yeah,
just so they can get booked on shows and stuff. Because it's so hard to get booked on anything.
Well, there's not like a big choice option for paying work for young comics in this area. And I'm not making a union. I'm just saying that's there's only maybe 2 or 3, as far as I know. If I looked harder, maybe more, but it's 2 or 3 paying booking agents in this town.
Well, I've been trying to figure out a way how to do this as a live show.
The podcast.
Yeah. The hard part is like trying to do this as a conversation. The only way I can think of is just do a storyteller show.
You know what might work too, maybe, is a co-host.
Uh-huh.
Because you have a co-host, you have someone that you bounce things off of. Hopefully you're getting riffs going together. I'm sure Howard Stern's pretty funny, but I'm sure Robin Quivers makes him funnier.
Yeah, well, so I have a couple episodes where I joke about it and tell my friends it's like our Protect Our Parks episodes where Rogan has like 4 comics on. I've done that where I've had like 4 or 5 comics on it, and it's just chaos.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and in the one episode we're drinking wine and some other things, and we're just giggling. I'm like, I understand now why women like this. You just feel so happy. And then all of a sudden, then the wine hits, and everybody starts getting like
nodding off. A little too much venison at
oh
dinner.
Yeah.
You know what might be good is to get a concept for the show. I suppose like Kill Tony's this concept where people come up one after another and try to beat the band.
Yeah.
You know, and most fail. Which, you know, I'll be honest, okay? Again, old guy ignorance. I did not realize until recently, apparently, how important Kill Tony is to a comic's career. Another comic was telling me that this makes and breaks people, and you're going to get thousands of followers from a good Kill Tony appearance.
Cam Patterson just got on Saturday Night Live.
And so you just go out and do like a minute or two, and then they critique you, and you
have
answer
1 minute
back.
of stand-up to do that.
Right.
And if your stand-up's good, then you have the interview. And sometimes you can do bad on your set, but really do good in the interview.
Right, because you're doing your improv.
Then you get more chances.
Right.
So...
That's weird, man.
It's all in how you play it off, and then sometimes it's all in where you're at.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to go up with one of those stadium shows... I just had a buddy on. He was just on there. Went to the stadium show, got on, gets cut from the Netflix special.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was just like, we think somebody like there was somebody there that had a hand in why it was cut.
Something nefarious.
Yeah. Well, it was one of those like probably said something you shouldn't have said. I can't get out.
It seems like it's. I'm trying to be nice, but sometimes it's tough to be nice. It seems like a lot of times with people with these specials, okay, it seems like open mic night. Like I can put a special up if I want. Someone could put a special up for me. I can even get a special on Netflix if I agree to ridiculous terms. I know a comic from New York, okay, who has a special on. He has no buzz in the business. This is not a guy, an up-and-comer. This is an old-fashioned, like me, New Yorker, Italian-American, the same sort of... Anyway, he gets a special on Netflix. We're talking. He gets, I am not kidding, campers, he gets 7 cents of viewing if the viewer watches the entire way from beginning to end. If I watch 59 minutes of the hour and turn it off, he doesn't get anything. 7 cents of viewing. So you're telling me I can get a special on the biggest streaming platform in the world.
But because I didn't watch the credits, I'm not. They didn't watch.
But not even that. 7 cents.
That's crazy.
But the point is, and then I was talking to another comic who was telling me, I think like you mentioned about the YouTube. I see a lot of comics, my YouTube stuff on YouTube, and I go, and again, old stupid guy. I say to somebody, can't anybody upload anything on YouTube? And he goes, yeah. I go, oh, so there's no production company, Paramount Pictures behind this deal. Nope. You're just making it and then you're putting up and fingers crossed. It sounds mean and cynical. I'm sorry. I know this is not the way we do it nowadays. I understand we're living in a different world, and I should be more kind and positive. Yeah. I understand that. But again, I am a comic who was forged in the 20th century.
That's fair.
You know? So it's tough sometimes to fight my instincts not to.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are just making their money on sponsors anymore.
Man, I wish I knew how to do that.
You know what I mean? I
don't know how to do that.
I think some of it is that. I don't know, because you hear that everyone has a podcast, and every podcast it's, hey, do Blue Chew, hey, buy Manscaped, and it's like, how many people are using that code?
I love, and again, I'm going down that road again, how people use their own podcast as their credit when they're going up on a set. And I'm sure lots of legitimate people do it. So I don't want to sound, I don't know what I sound like. What can I tell you? I remember a day when a credit was this person was on The Tonight Show, or this person was on Evening at the Improv. I don't have any of those credits. I mean, I was on this Comedy Central little crap show, you know, New York One, little things. The king of the Z list, not even D, Z list. But I remember doing a show when I first started, a guest spot someplace, and I'm standing in the audience waiting to go up, and the MC, who's the producer of the show, says, our next comic was on VH1 on The Tonight Show, and I literally start looking around, like, who's he talking about? I thought I was going next, and he goes, Buddy Flip, and I'm like, and I actually stop on the way to the stage, and I turn to this audience member, I go, I wasn't on any of those shows, and then I go back up, I go on the show. That's
the guy just made it up. It just
yeah. And I said to him after, I said, Bob, I didn't. He goes, no, don't worry about it. No one gives a fuck. Blah blah blah.
I heard about somebody that happened to somebody. They went up and they gave him like, hey, he's on Kill Tony, and he goes, I've never been on Kill Tony.
Now the worst part here, if you're ever thinking about running a show yourself, you or anyone listening, is the audience will be so kind and understanding if you tell them what's coming. Okay. Now, if I say our next comic's been on Kill Tony, and you come up and suck, all right, the audience is going to say, well, we're not going back to that fucking place. They say the guy was on Kill Tony. My ass, he was on Kill Tony. Okay. Now, if I go up and I say our next comic's a newcomer,
I was going to say, sometimes if you watch Kill Tony, you're like, I can see it.
No, but I'm just saying, if you tell the audience a newcomer is coming, let's support him, her, it, them, they. Yeah. Let's support them. Okay. The audience will be like, yeah. Let's support them. And you go up there and the audience will support you. If they expect a professional comic and an amateur comes up, they won't forgive you. Or the club, or you if you're producing a show for the local fire department and you want to go back and produce another one for them. That's another way, by the way. I don't know if you ever think of, not you personally, but if anyone that thinks about a great way to make money, make your own shows happen.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I learned that like when early on, one of my buddies was telling me, he's like, hey, because you want to get booked on shows? He goes, make your own shows.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going to tell you that. He goes, that or start your own open mic.
Right. Bookers like that shit, too. Okay, when I started, I was really lucky. I said I got this, you know, I went in this show, and they were having a great show, and I did great one night, and I sucked the next night. But the owner of the club liked me. I had this weird look and stuff like that. I didn't do regular material. I did song parodies, and then sang song themes on my acoustic guitar from the 70s, like the Brady Bunch and stuff like that, Mr. Ed. And the owner loved that. So the owner let me come up and do some guest spots for nothing. Like, I don't have to bring anybody, just on the weekend. He'd let me, but I would only go up and run. I'd run up and sing like Gilligan's Island, and I'd run off. I dressed up like Elvis and Mr. T, and I'd sing Gilligan's Island. I'd run off the stage on the acoustic guitar. And I noticed the people they were getting laughs by speaking and saying jokes and stuff like that. So I started peppering the songs with jokes. I hate to use him as an example. He's been following me my whole life. Gilligan's Island. I used to sing the song right from the opening. Sit right back in your hear it, tail.
Yeah.
And I would stop, and I'd make a joke about the song, about something, and the people would laugh. I'd be like, ooh, and I got excited. Anyway, after a couple of months of that, the owner of the club, as normal, got tired of it and said, "Buddy, why don't you do something else?" I go, "What do you want to do?" He goes, "Well, I got these bringer shows." So I tried the bringer show. And I have nothing against the bringer show. The bringer show is a trade. People always have this bad idea of the bringer show. The bringer show is a trade. Instead of performing in front of comics, now I'm going to perform in front of civilians. Very important to perform in front of civilians, right? They're the ones you want their opinion, not the comics. I want the civilians.
Yep.
So the bringer show is the first chance you will get to perform in front of civilians. That's why it's valuable. It's a trade. I bring 2 or 3 people. I get to be seen by 30 normal people. I can record, figure out what's going on. Okay. The problem with the bringer show is that a lot of bookers are nefarious, unscrupulous, and they make you think it's some sort of step to something else. It's not. You just do that show in front of regular people and go home and listen to your tape or whatever you're recording on. So I did the bringer shows for a while, and like most people, I ran out of friends. My friends hated me after a while. You know, you do like a bunch of these shows, and they're like, I'm not coming and spending $50 to watch you do the same 5 minutes of crap again.
Yeah, I haven't had too many friends that want to watch.
I had friends. I milked them good. And so after a while, the owner said to me, I said to the owner, what do I do? I can't. He goes, why don't you produce your own show? And I said, I don't want to, in my head, right? I said, I don't produce my own fucking show. Just give me a fucking spot. I don't produce my own show. He goes, you got to produce your own show. So this is like 91, 92. I produced the Buddy Flip variety show because I had a weird act. I didn't have a normal act. And I had a lot of weird performer friends from downtown Manhattan where I lived. I had a singing cowboy friend. I had a depressed clown girl act. I had a singing mermaid. And so every month, once a month, we get together and we do a crate. And I get a few stand-ups and I beg my friends to come. And we did the show for about a year and a half. Mm-hmm. And along the way, we'd meet some other comics, we meet some other performers, we meet other producers, and we became part of the New York Comedy Club family. And boom, after a year and a half, I was in the club. Never auditioned. You know what I'm saying? To become on the lineup, just osmosis my way in. And I worked with Al in the New York Comedy Club for a million fucking years. It was my home club. I managed it for a long time. And so believe it or not, to go back to our very original point, I had to do something extra to get something going. I had to produce my own show. Once I produced my own show, I made so many connections. I met other people. It worked out incredibly well. And on top of everything, there was nothing the owner of that club at that time, Al Martin, the owner of that club, nothing he liked more than to watch somebody hustle up their own shit and not come to him with their hand out like everyone does to a club owner. Give me a spot. Give me a spot. Come on, give me a spot. I'm funny. Yeah, you and everybody else, I got to give you a spot. You know? Well, I know guys who will get a spot. They'll go get ice for me. They'll bring the ice up from downstairs. They'll put it on the beer, and I'll give them a spot, and they'll do that for me. Will you do that for me? Oh, I don't want to do that. Well, then I'll give it to the other guy who wants to get the ice for me. That's New York.
Yeah.
It's nothing personal. That's New York.
Yeah, that's why I started doing the podcast. It's kind of like, you have your own show, and it's like I've met so many people just talking to people.
Absolutely.
And like my buddy's like, hey, because my one buddy just sent me a guy. He's a artist, a comic book artist and stuff like that. And I was like, art's pretty dope, dude. You guys, you want to come on and talk comic books? He's like, yeah, I'll do that. I was like, I don't care. The guy's cool. Like, I'll talk to him. I'll talk to anybody, honestly.
You have that, I don't know what I call it, the William Shatner complex.
Oh, yeah?
Shatner is completely fascinated by other people. He's one of those people that's fascinated by everybody else. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a pretty fascinating guy himself, isn't he, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but he is always interested in other things.
It is, because it's like a lot of people have like I said, I love talking to like different art, like songwriters and stuff. Like I was talking to this guy, and the songs he was writing were super personal about his life. Like I think it was like his dad hitting his mom and stuff, like real deep stuff. And I was like, how? Like, is it hard to be that open and like be that like write about yourself that personally? He's like, not really. He's like, that's when you find out the real shit. And I was like, damn. I was like, I need to start writing more personal for my jokes because that stuff responds better.
You probably know this Carlin bit. I don't even know if it's a bit. It's something he does a lot in interviews about people. He loves people, and I agree with him. I love people one-on-one. Mm-hmm. One-on-one. What does he say? He always says, you can see the universe in a person's eyes. He goes, it's when they start pairing up, when they start getting together in groups, and they start wearing shirts and they get their own hats and they have lists of people they want to visit at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
That's, one-on-one people are amazing. I think, and I think you're lucky if you have that, that, whatever you want to call it, interest in other people or that questioning always. Like I'm like, I think like a lot of performers, I can't talk for a lot of performers. Like for myself, I'm very self-centric. Mm-hmm. So I'm not as fascinated by everybody else. So I said to my wife when I was leaving today, I said, look, I'm going to go someplace and I'm going to talk about myself for an hour so you won't have to listen to it. And when I come home, I'll be out of breath. I won't have to talk, that's because, it's tough when you live with a comic.
Yeah. Actually, I have to go check the camera real quick. I'll be right back.
It's right there.
Okay. Yeah. And we're back.
I did.
Yep. Yeah. Oh man. So who have you like worked with? I seen like Artie Lange popped up.
Artie Lange. When I first started, I worked with people. People who became famous who weren't famous.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Jim Gaffigan, a bunch of times. And of course, I got to tell you, even in 1990 and 1991, if you saw Jim Gaffigan perform, you'd say that guy's funny. He might go somewhere. It's just, I don't know how to explain it, but there are some acts that you'd see back then and you'd say there's something. Kevin James.
Oh, my dad talks about like he listened to a lot of Sirius Radio and stuff, and he was listening to Jim Gaffigan. My dad would talk about hot pot. Why is he talking about food all the time?
Yeah,
like, he
that
just
was
cracked
his
up.
big. He pioneered that, talking back, commenting on his own act. It was brilliant. We all do. We all comment on our. We don't. We all don't do that. I do that. I like to comment on my act while it's happening. When I first started, I sucked so bad. I am not kidding. That the only laughs I got were when I stopped and talked about how much this sucked.
Sometimes it recovers a bad joke.
Yeah, and then I go back to my jokes, and it would suck again, and I'd have to stop and talk about it sucking some more.
Oh yeah, I've done that. I've done that a couple of times.
You develop lines, the bomb line, stuff like that. I'd say to the audience, I want to thank you all for coming tonight to help me on my new career as a hypnotist.
Yep. There's a lot of I'm going to go kill myself after this.
Oh, yeah.
For that.
The best of all time is Jay London. Jay London's a comic originally from New York. Now he lives in L.A. He has the best bomb lines of all time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and his bomb lines are so good that sometimes he'd use them even when he wasn't bombing, because they're so good. Like he'd look at some lady in front and go, don't worry, lady, it'll be over soon. Or they're going to bring the body in 5 minutes or something like that. Or someone would get up to go to the bathroom and say, don't walk out on me, please. My parents used to do that. And I'm not doing him justice. I'm sorry, Jay.
I always like throw in my dad's disappointed in me. I rewatched King of the Hill and realized that show hits way too close to home.
Yeah. I started doing comedy, and all my comedy, I'll be honest, was escapist comedy. I didn't want to talk about anything real because I was uncomfortable with a lot of real things in my life. And I was a big fan of old-time show business and show business characters. And I know this sounds crazy, but in the late 80s, I used to listen to this oldies station in New York called WCBS-FM 101. They were like the king of oldies. And they had a guy in the morning named Harry Harrison. And Harry Harrison talked like this. And he always referred himself in third person. Harry Harrison says good morning. And so when I started, believe it or not, when I started at the beginning, I would say my name constantly. I'd say, Buddy Flip. People always come up to Buddy Flip and say, Buddy Flip, what about this, Buddy Flip? And after a while, it took me a few years, but I kind of released the sphincter after a few years, and I was able to become a comic. But unfortunately, for my sake, I hate to say, at the beginning, I was so on the wrong path. If I was interested in, fame and or fortune or just being a city comic, I was so on the wrong path because the reality is most of us should talk about ourselves. Mm-hmm. Right? That's what they tell you, I think, in classes and stuff like that. Ironically, arguably, one of the greatest, most successful, let's say one of the most successful stand-up comics of all time, Jerry Seinfeld, has not said one word about himself in his act in 50 years. Right? Everything's about something he observes. Nothing about himself. Nothing. And I'm just telling you that because I want to show to everyone that every rule can be broken.
Yeah.
Everything people tell you, like they sit there and pompously say, the rule of three, you have to have 3 punchlines after a setup. No, any great, wonderful, incredible comic from England, Eddie Izzard, doesn't do as much stand-up as he used to, but years ago did stand-up.
My God, his Darth Vader bit makes me piss myself.
He would do, I don't know what you want to say, 12 punchlines. Mm-hmm. And everyone was fine. He did a great joke about a guy with a laser gun. Like instead of shooting a laser, it would shoot different feelings. It would shoot different things, like a laser that would make you forget what you were doing. So a guy would be running at you and you shoot the laser and be like, what? Huh? What? Or a laser that made you think you heard the ice cream truck. So he'd shoot you and you'd be like, oh, ice cream. They could run away instead of coming after. Brilliant. I saw him twice live. Absolutely brilliant. He did the most brilliant bit, and you've probably seen it in one of those specials, about Engelbert Humperdinck dying. Was absolutely, he came out live. He comes out to the audience and he goes, it's a shame about Engelbert Humperdinck. And the audience goes, what? What happened to Engelbert Humperdinck? He goes, oh yeah, he was hit by a car and killed. And the audience goes, what? Oh my God. And he looks at the audience and goes, nah, I'm just kidding. He's okay. He's okay. And the audience goes, oh, okay, that was kind of weird, And he goes, no, it really happened. And we're like, what? I mean, he's on stage and there's hundreds of people like, what? And he's like, no. And he goes, no, I'm kidding. And we did this for like a minute and a half. He's like, no. And he got smaller and smaller until he was like, we were dying. And then he did the most brilliant bit about how they came to that name. Right? Because Engelbert's real name is like Jerry Dorsey. That's his real name is Jerry Dorsey. Mm. But his manager's like, no, you got to have something, And they were going through a Fester Bester Tester. What was the best one? Knick Knack Paddywhack. No. Engelbert Humperdinck. Wait a minute. He was so brilliant. You know what I loved about him more than anything? Silly. Mm-hmm. I love silly. I wish I could be a snarky, Carlin-esque social commentator, but I love silly. I love Eddie Izzard. I love Monty Python. If it doesn't make sense, I love it. You know?
I've realized I've written a lot of jokes about going to the bathroom. Because that's the most relatable shit.
Absolutely. Literally.
Because I was telling this story. It's like, hey, he's like, oh, hey, I finally, brought a girl back, whatever. And I'm talking to her. As I'm walking up the stairs to my apartment up here, that's when you feel your stomach starts to growl.
Oh, my God.
And you're like, oh, God, please don't do this to me. Because you see how this room is set up. These walls are thin. And, like, when I had, you're going to hear everything.
Yeah, put the music on.
Oh,
Put the music on loud.
Just sound like the Lord of the Rings in there, man.
Oh.
You come out and she's just like, I'm going to leave. I'm like, yeah, I figured.
I would tell every comic, especially young comics, I would tell you, and I know this is going to sound like a proselytizing, but clean is much more valuable.
Oh, yeah.
You do dirty jokes, you'll work VFWs like me forever. Mm-hmm. Okay? And it's not a bad thing. I love working VFWs. But if you want the better work, better paying work, private party work, corporate work, cruise work, that's real money. It's got to be clean. And I mean clean. And clean means you don't say masturbate instead of jerk off. Clean means you don't do any joke that has anything about masturbating in it, because that would make it a dirty joke. Even if you used proper words, it's still a dirty joke. I know that sounds weird that I have to explain it like that, but you'd be surprised how many people think clean means just saying masturbate instead of jerk off. No. Clean means no jokes about jerking off. None.
Yeah, that's what I told people. I was like, I don't have like a lot of clean material.
Yeah.
But I'm also like,
if you're in the right venues and you don't care, great.
Yeah.
No problem. I mean, even Carlin said, again, going back to our hero Carlin said stand-up is a vulgar art form. Mm-hmm. That's how he described it. I think that's fascinating that he calls it a vulgar art form. I'm pretty sure about the vulgar. I'm not sure about the art form, but okay, I don't know. The art form thing is weird.
The way I look at it is, I look at anybody because I'm like, I've met comics that are super clean, that are really funny, and I've met comics that are super dirty that are really funny, and I'm kind of like, whatever works for you. I'm like, good for you know what I mean? Like that's not.
I think the guys that make me, I don't know, the comics make me laugh the loudest tend to be dirty.
Oh yeah,
or at least twisted, if not dirty. And they're not afraid of peppering stuff with dirty.
Sometimes you just like to hear unfiltered thoughts.
Yeah. And sometimes unfiltered thoughts lead to weird and dark places. And, and at the end of the day, if it's funny, I've always said this my whole life, if it's funny enough, there is no time, this is going to be bold, there is no topic that you can't make a joke about. And I mean, okay, I won't name a name. There's a comic I know. Years ago, I produced a show, and I would have industry guests come to the show. It was a bringer show, but I would have industry guests come to the show, and comics would sign up, bring their friends, and they would perform in front of these industry guests. If they wanted to pass them, if they didn't want to pass them, that was the deal. And there was a comic went up, and I don't know, I'm just going to do it. It was a joke about, he talked about pedophiles. And he'd say, the comic would say, doctors have examined these guys for years, and there's just no cure. He goes, they can't let them out. They will do it again. They can't stop yourself. He goes, it really has to make you think. Sex with kids must be fantastic. And of course, a lot of times, the audience might be shy, but a lot of times I got a good laugh.
Yeah.
I believe this. Any topic, if the laugh is strong enough, people forgive you. One of the bookers comes up to me after the show. No joke about pedophilia is funny. Tell that comic. Don't joke. Okay, but that's Ricky Gervais had the best tweet of all time. I know everyone's sensitive about cancel culture, okay? But we're comics. Our joke's to tell a joke. Our joke isn't to make friends. Our joke's to tell a joke. The joke might upset people. Gervais says, nothing's changed. Tell your fucking joke. If people don't laugh, the choice is up to you then. Do you want to make a scene about it, or do you just want to get to your next fucking joke?
I love his Golden Globe shows.
Oh, the last one.
He should have never, ever stopped doing it.
No, but see, you couldn't have that last one unless it was his last one.
Yeah.
When he did, oh my God, he did so much of that thing.
When he's like, thank your God, he goes, get the fuck off. Or something.
Thank your God, don't give a speech, and Oh, so much great stuff in there.
Oh, when he got Mel Gibson, though. When he's like...
earlier years, yeah.
When he looked at him, he goes, question, he goes, I ask you something. He's like, what's that? He goes, what's the deal with sugar tits? And he was just like, I don't even know what you're talking about. He just asked him in front of the whole audience.
That year, he was so... the last year, he was just incredibly... I watch that thing occasionally because I'm just a bowled over by his braveness. What did he say to them? He goes, most of you people have spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. He said, he goes, you all call yourself all woke. He said, but if ISIS started a streaming service tomorrow, you'd be on the phone with your agent. I mean, he fucking laid into all of them perfectly.
Who's the best?
And the best was Scorsese's table. When you see there's a shot of Scorsese and De Niro, and they're laughing. Remember, he says Scorsese's too short to get on the rides, and he calls Joe Pesci Baby Yoda. Oh, and the thing he does with oh my God, the thing he does with Leonardo DiCaprio, that is priceless. He goes, what was that? Once Upon a Time in, what was that movie? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, right? He goes, it was so long. He goes, that by the time it was over, Leonardo DiCaprio's date was too old for him. He goes, come on. He goes, even Prince Andrew was saying, come on, son. I mean, you're 50. Come on. I mean, and then he would say, I don't care. He'd point at himself. He goes, fifth time, I don't care. I mean, I'm not the biggest Gervais fan, but that night he was absolutely on fire.
Those should go down in history of like the best shows.
One of the best ever. He said that I came here in a limo and the license plates were made by Felicity Huffman, and you could see like Tom Hanks and go, ooh.
Yeah.
And Gervais is like, oh no. He goes, stop it. Stop that.
Yeah.
He was fucking brilliant. That English actor was in the back giving him fucking dagger eyes, Jonathan Pryce. Oh my God, he hated him. Oh, that was the best.
So there's a couple like good award show moments I liked. One is Robin Williams with, I think it's Robin Williams,
Nicholson.
Daniel Day-Lewis, and Jack Nicholson.
Oh yeah, the Nicholson one is brilliant.
Nicholson's high out of his mind. And he's just, Robin, get up here. And
Yeah,
Robin's like, what do you want me to do?
That is such a great encapsulation of a moment of the 80s. That moment is such an 80s moment. I don't know how to say it other than that. Those people, that moment, it's a great moment. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of great moments like that. I thought Williams was brilliant.
I love when he looked at him when he won the award and he goes, check it out, Robbo, I got one for every decade. And he's like, fuck you, man.
Nicholson's the best. I think Nicholson's one of the greatest American actors we've ever had. Really.
Not even when he's playing crazy. He's just great in everything he does.
Well, one thing I really loved about him was he wasn't afraid to play old. Every actor has this thing where they got it. Like I love Pacino. Everyone loves Pacino. I love Pacino. But I'd say there were points where he was making movies in the teens, in the 2000 teens, where he was like in his 70s playing a guy in his 50s.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about CGI. We're talking about him actually pretending with the hair dye.
Yep.
And I'm like, and Nicholson was already making movies like about Schmidt, where he plays this retired guy wondering what's next with his life. And I really respect that. An actor who's not afraid to say, I'm old now. I'm making a movie about being old.
The Bucket List.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a really good movie.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says.
And I love him now. Now he's like, what? He's like 85 and he's gigantically fat. God bless you. Guy probably spent his entire life worrying about his weight. At least now,
The last thing he did, I think, like out in public, was when he was like at the Academy Awards and he was like hitting on Jennifer Lawrence.
That was a great moment too.
Because like she was kind of like,
Yeah.
I might go home with him. Like she was almost like,
He goes, you remind me of an old girlfriend. She goes, maybe I'm a new one. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm part of me just like, Jack, if you did, I tip my hat to him.
Coolest guy in Hollywood. I saw, oh my God, it's 50. I can't believe I'm saying this. 50 years ago. 50 fucking years. I went to see Cuckoo's Nest. I mean, one of those life-changing movies when you watch him in Cuckoo's Nest.
I think that's a movie I still haven't yet to see.
Well, it's hard to imagine. No offense, it's hard to imagine it would have the same impact on you because movies like music, it affects you at certain ages when you see it, and it stays with you forever. That's what I'm convinced of now that I'm old. I kind of figured all this shit out. It's not like my music's better than your music. My music affects me emotionally. Your music affects you emotionally. Some people are I love all music, but I can tell you that certain music from certain times, make me tear up. Certain movies, I can watch movies now and go, these movies suck, like some old guy, right? These movies suck. They don't make them. No, they're exactly the same as they were 50 years ago.
Some movies, there are a few movies today, like for instance, Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's one of those movies where it's like, this is weird. I shouldn't like this movie, but why am I crying at the end of it? It changed. It's one of those movies that changed my life.
I did not make it through that entire movie.
Really?
I actually stopped watching that movie.
Oh,
I was like, because you know what? It was Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh,
too much.
You should take some gummies and then rewatch that movie. You'll understand it way better. You might actually be teleported into the movie a little bit.
That's interesting. I might try that. My wife has a lot of gummies, so I might. I might hit her gummy tray.
I've been telling people all the time, like, you gotta do this. Like the Marvel movies, perfect time. I did it for Ant-Man. I could actually see how bad the CG was. That was not a good one. Avatar.
Movies have definitely changed. They've definitely changed. I a lot of times I watch old movies that I watched when I was a kid, and it's amazing how many old movies are just two people talking to each other in a room.
Growing up is really realizing that Dukes of Hazzard was really kind of a shitty show. There's only
but you enjoyed it on the ironic level.
Well, the first episode's like, okay, they're kind of serious.
Oh yeah,
and then it starts getting into like a family comedy after a while. But then there's this one where like they die, and like Roscoe has to go in and tell Uncle Jesse like, hey, Bo and Luke ran off the road and they didn't make it, like kind of thing. And it's a really good acting scene.
Wow.
But it's like one in the entire 7 years it was
I was
on.
more of an A-Team man myself.
That's fair.
I loved A-Team. But A-Team was a cartoon.
No.
That's what I loved about it.
Oh, yeah. But yeah,
the show itself. No, it wasn't a real cartoon. I mean, the show itself was a cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
I loved how the cars would flip over, smash, crash, and then they'd have two guys crawl out to make sure you knew that everyone was okay.
Here's what doesn't make sense to me about 80s television movies. The A-Team is too violent for TV, but we'll put Rambo the cartoon on for kids. That's an R-rated movie about war and death, but you made that into an action figure. Same thing with RoboCop. Wickedly violent, but the A-Team is like, oh no, this is too violent for TV.
I don't know. It was just strange because usually TV loves violence. American TV loves violence. And hates sex. Loves violence, hates sex. Rather shoot somebody than fuck somebody.
Was it NYPD Blue? They had a meltdown because
he showed his ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was the one they kind of pushed it like with language and everything.
Now it's amazing because now it's just like everything, anything, everything goes. And
it's streaming now. You don't have to obey the rules.
I don't even know how, if you had, for example, small children, how you avoided them seeing people say fuck, cock, cunt all over the place because it's all over the place.
Do you watch Righteous Gemstones?
No, I did not see that.
That's Danny McBride, where it's like the mega church.
Oh yeah.
There's more cock in that show, and that is a religious show about Jesus.
Oh yeah. I believe it.
And I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to deal with this.
I'll tell you this, it sounds weird, but it's freed me up as a comic because nowadays I think to myself, anything goes. I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm not going to worry about a fuck here or a fuck there. That was a big thing when I started. Don't say fuck so much. Everyone, especially in New York, people in New York, fuck this, fuck that, fuck you fucking fuck. Very popular. So I remember that was a big thing in New York. You had to watch the fucks. If the joke had to have...
Which is weird because you had Eddie Murphy and Robin Williams at the time that were just throwing it around.
You know what? And I'm not saying this to sound bitter or anything like that. Everything I'm saying, I think, is hopefully just observational. But there's what you can say when you're famous, and there's what you can't say when you're famous, when you're not famous. And I remember being at places where they would say, you wanted to get into the club, and the club had a very strict rule about how you acted. But then you'd notice people who were already in the club go up and they would do a lot of the stuff that people who ran the club didn't want you to do. So it was like one thing to get in. Once you got in, then you could do what you want, kind of. I don't think it was like that on purpose. I don't think they did it like that on purpose. I think it was just a very sort of normal human thing.
Yeah.
The club, sometimes very helpful. I did a show a million years ago when I first started. I was the opener on this show, and this hilarious headliner, Frank D'Amico, giant fat guy. All the jokes were fat jokes. The guy would destroy. People couldn't breathe. They were laughing so hard. I did the show. I opened 15 minutes. I walk out. The woman who books the room said, "Buddy, you said fuck 7 times." I said, "What?" She goes, "You said fuck 7 times." I said, "Really?" She goes, "Yeah." She doesn't have to say it that many times. She says you had 2 jokes where I think you really needed the word, but the other 5 times. And so it was kind of like that when you
But sometimes it's weird because like you're in the moment and you. This happens to me sometimes. You'll walk up. I walk up on stage and like either it's nerves or whatever where someone else is driving. I don't know who is, and whatever they say, it's an unfiltered response.
Which is kind of how it should be.
Yeah.
The artist should go on stage. You should be in that place where you're not thinking anymore. You're just doing, right? But at the same token, in my case, in this situation I'm telling you, I had a job. I was being paid.
Right.
I had an obligation. I mean, and I know plenty of comics who said, "Fuck them and fuck that," and they don't go back to work again. So, and I'm not talented enough that they're going to have me back. And I'm going to if I break the rules enough.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking some criticism.
Oh yeah, for
there's
sure.
nothing wrong for that, And so it helped me because it made me. But now my point now is that, 35 years later, apparently everyone's comfortable with that. I can remember when talking about farting was considered dirty, like really dirty. It's not. I've done fart material at churches.
I still love Red Fox's joke about farts.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, they're funny. No matter, like it doesn't matter because it's funny.
But it's interesting that I can remember the early '70s. The movie Blazing Saddles came out. There's a big fart sequence in Blazing Saddles.
My dad loves that scene.
People were out of their minds that farts were in movies. I mean, out of their mind. People were out of their minds when Archie Bunker flushed the toilet on All in the Family. They didn't see it. You just heard it. People were shocked. I heard a toilet flush on TV.
But it's like you heard it in the same room you were watching TV.
Different times. It's different times now. I'd say that's the biggest challenge to me as a comic.
The separate beds for like Lucy and stuff never made sense.
Never said
how
the word.
Did you guys get here?
Never said the word pregnant. They never said the word pregnant. With child, with this, with expecting, always expecting. You know what? It was a much more controlled, oppressive, sort of tense time. The 50s into the 60s. Of course, the 60s explode with this giant counterculture revolution, and we've been fighting that in a sense ever since. I hate to get political, but the overturning of Roe v. Wade throws back 50 years ago, where people were fighting that shit back then.
So think about this. Do you ever notice that art is always its best when it's fighting against, it's fighting against the norm? But what do you do when the norm's not
norm anymore?
Yeah,
I don't know.
When the norm's so weird, it's like, how do you fight? What doors do you break down?
I'm not 100% sure when art is best, but art is best used when it parodies oppressors, when it parodies power, when it does that stuff. That's when I think it's best used. But that doesn't mean it's only like that, because some guys have great acts that have nothing to do with oppressing power. Steve Martin was a brilliant stand-up, totally silly, nothing made any sense, nothing approached anything like serious,
Yeah, I can't. I feel bad saying that. Like his stand-up, I was like, I don't get why this was funny. It didn't make sense.
I understand what you're saying, because it I hate to say it, doesn't age well, which is important when you look now that we're looking at stuff that's that old. We remember in the 70s we didn't look at stuff from 20 years ago. It was comics were on TV 20 years ago, they were done, and now we're in the 70s now.
It's why most SNL sketches don't. I would say they don't hold. Like no one remembers them. Mostly.
A lot of comedy TV is based on parodying things of the moment. So while I might say a show like SCTV is fucking brilliant, and those performers are brilliant mimics, Rick Moranis' imitation of Woody Allen might not mean a lot to somebody in 2075 when they have no clue who the fuck Woody Allen or Rick Moranis is. Right? But it's still funny. I mean, it's still funny, the performance, the way he does it,
I never understood the concept of SCTV until recently, because I thought it was just, it's their version of SNL. I didn't realize, no, this is a cable news network, and these are the random shows that are. Right. I'm like, that is brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, look at these performers. You're talking about Martin Short, Rick Moranis, Dave Thomas, Joe Flaherty,
John Candy,
Andrea Martin, and Catherine O'Hara. I mean, and Harold Ramis, by the way, who a lot of people aren't familiar with, who literally, Harold Ramis himself, literally, this one guy changed the face of fucking American film comedy himself in the 70s with working on Animal House, Caddyshack, Stripes, Ghostbusters, Harold Ramis, and then he dies young. People don't know. I mean, I cannot stress to you how important a figure this guy was.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah, how important a figure this guy was in American film comedy. How he changed. Animal House was, I mean, for me personally, as a guy who loved comedy, Animal House was like life starts again.
That was a movie I had to sneak in high school.
Oh my God!
Because I was like, my parents were like, you can't watch any of this stuff. Oh, it's a bad, dirty movie and stuff. And then I watched it. I'm like, this is actually pretty tame.
It wasn't just so, yeah, right. I mean, I guess later on it looks kind of tame. At the time, radical.
Like Porky's, that's still pretty rough for today.
Yeah. The thing about Animal House is it was the beginning of that. I don't know what you call it. The age of irony. It was the beginning where the boomers were old enough to make comedy about themselves and stuff they grew up on. SNL was, it's unfair to say SNL was the first show to make fun of TV, because there was a great show in the 50s with Sid Caesar called Your Show of Shows, which was on every Saturday night live with Sid Caesar, Imogene Coco, Carl Reiner, and Howie Morris, that parodied everything of the day right there on the movie of the week. They parodied right there, everything. So they were really the precursor to SNL. But SNL.
Oh, his writer's room is like everybody who's made big comedy directors.
Absolutely.
Woody Allen,
Carl
Mel
Reiner,
Brooks.
Woody Allen, Persky, Norman Lear, not Norman Lear. Norman Lear.
Yeah, Mel Brooks.
Larry Gelbart, Mel Brooks, Woody Allen.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brooks and Allen were together at one season at one point, which is amazing. I'm a big snob about comedy in that era because I think the 70s and for my money, you got to go back to like the 20s, 30s, 40s, the classic era. The 70s was comedy.
I love the Stooges, though. I grew up on the Stooges.
Yeah. But you think about the 70s, you had at least 3 insanely gigantic comic monsters. You had Woody Allen, Mel Brooks, Monty Python. I'm not even counting, what do you call it, Airplane, which shows up at the end of the decade. Mm-hmm. But those 3 alone, I mean, Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, Sleeper, Love and Death, Monty Python and Holy Grail. You count Life of Brian. I love Holy Grail most of all. I know a lot of people love Life of Brian, but I love Holy Grail more than anything.
I do love Holy Grail. It's just that the coconuts and everything. It's so silly and just you're like, I don't know what the purpose of this movie. Then at the end, when they come in and arrest them, it's like, what is happening?
The greatest ending ever. The greatest end. Movies are so boring and predictable.
Wait a minute, what? And then it starts playing that. A goofy movie.
Credits.
The animation stuff, and like we escaped the monster because the animator had a heart attack and died
of a heart attack. Yeah,
he just goes.
Yeah, it's just absolutely. I was a psychotic Monty Python fan when I was a teenager. I mean, psychotic.
All right, I gotta check the camera real quick, and we'll be right back. And we're back. Oh man, yeah, we have some really good conversations off pod too, and it's like, man,
I know.
The better ones come off pod, and it's like, I gotta check the camera. I wanted to ask you because I seen when I was looking at the AI thing, it was telling me that you worked with Artie Lange. I gotta hear some Artie Lange stories. Like, what was that like?
I met Artie through a comic named Bob Levy, Reverend Bob Levy, who was on.
I've heard of that name.
He was on Howard Stern a bunch of times. He won something like he won a contest like Howard's Angriest Viewer or something like that. Mm-hmm. But Bob's a very funny guy. Filthy, but very funny guy. Reverend Bob, that's why you say Reverend Bob Levy. And I had a movie theater in New Jersey, a great old theater, and the owner had a bar, kind of a bar restaurant next door. He bought the theater, made a hole into the theater, right? Took out every other row of seating and put in little tables so you could actually have your drinks and smoke cigarettes when you could smoke indoors while you watched a live show or a movie. It was a wonderful setup, And so I produced a bunch of shows there. I produced a bunch of comedy shows there. I produced a Beatlemania show there. We had a fake Beatle band come in, and which was a lot of fun. And so Bob Levy was getting some buzz because he was on Howard Stern and people were coming out to see him. And that's a big thing. People come out to see you, get a venue, get them to come and see you, get them to buy the tickets, and take the money.
Yep.
So Bob was drawing. And so Bob, Casey Armstrong, Jim Florentine were coming out. And they were doing shows for us there. And we were doing pretty good. And Bob said, I'm going to try to get Artie. But Artie was getting big money at the time for live appearances. Artie was getting, I don't know, like 20, 30,000 a shot for appearing. And we got him for a door deal. I said, look, here's the thing. We're going to charge this much money at the door. I would say to Bob, well, I'm going to give Artie, 60%, and you'll get 40%, and I'll get 10%. How about that? And they're like, okay, great. So Bob Levy delivered Artie down for 2 shows, one night, 2 shows. It was fucking, both shows were packed. It was like a 300-seater movie theater. It was like a rock and roll show. Artie was a doll. He got fucking hammered between the first and second show. Hammered. The first show, he went up and actually did material. He went up and told jokes. Mm-hmm. And then the second show, he just went up and he was like in a daze. He went up the second show, and he had a mug filled with Jack and Coke, and stood there and down the whole thing in one gulp, and the audience went wild. The audience went fucking nuts. There's something about, I know it sounds nuts, and I've done a few shows with famous people. There's something about being famous that does something to regular people. They don't, even you as the non-famous comic opening up for the famous person, you look out there and there's just something in their eyes. Like, where's the famous guy? I don't know how to describe it. I met, what's his name from Silicon Valley on HBO.
Oh, T.J. Miller.
All right, I met him a few times at the Greenwich Village Comedy Club, and he would say fame is a fucked up thing. He goes, people come up next to you like they think it's a disease, like they're going to catch it. Like, if you're famous, people always just sort of always around you all the time. Like, can I get it? Can you give it to me? He goes, it's a weird thing, and it's not like a normal show. Because you're there and you could see them, they're laughing, they're looking at you, but you know that they're thinking, where's the famous guy? And when the famous guy comes out, whether it's, and I've worked with him with Artie and the other fellow we were just talking about before, who the Hot Pocket guy, Jim Gaffigan, a few years back, and no offense, they could say anything, people laugh. And it's not because of them, it's because of fame. Gaffigan was like, I want to try some new material. Ha 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 ha. He said, they laughed that I want to try some new material. And then the material was like, do you ever get on the escalator the wrong way and you're walking and you realize you're not going up? And he's doing this and they are falling, And, it's a great treat. It's a great gift in one respect. Sometimes you get something like it once in a while. You might do a show where the audience is just in such a great mood, no matter what you say, they laugh. That's when it feels like, this sounds weird. That's when it feels like a superpower. Yeah. It feels like you can just say, I'm doing it, and they laugh, and they laugh, because I have this super, but when you're famous, no matter what, and it's funny because he was drinking this Jack and Coke, and I'm going, what the fuck is this? He's just drinking, because it took him like, a couple of minutes to down this thing. I mean, what the fuck? He finished, he went, and the audience exploded. I'm like, okay, I know nothing. Yeah. I know nothing. The audience knows everything. And it's true. And he got so hammered, he went outside and pissed on the side of the building. The cops stopped him while he was pissing on the side of the building and let him go because he was Artie Lange. Yeah. Another one. And of course, he talked about it all morning on that Monday morning at the show, doing the show with me and Bob, and getting stopped by the cops for pissing. And I'll tell you another thing. I'll tell you the other thing about him was he was super nice. Mm-hmm. Even at the end of the show, he was hammered. I gave him his money. And these were figures I'd never worked with before. Like, I'd say, here's your $8,000, like, $8,000 in your hands like this, here's your $8,000 or whatever. Yeah. And I got my cut, and he'd say to me, and he's like, did you get enough? Did you make money? Are you okay? Did you make money with everything? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And I'd see him a few other times once in a while by the Comedy Cellar. And this was a while ago. It was a while before he had his troubles and stuff like that. So I'm not sure what his state is now.
Yeah, it's because he was doing a podcast for a little bit, and I was listening to it, and then it just stopped. And then he was trying to bring it back, and then it stopped.
He had a TV show briefly.
And then he was in rehab for a bit. Yeah, or he was on that show with Pete Holmes. Yeah, Crashing.
And he had another I don't know if it was an online show or on a cable system. He had a good friend of mine, Mike Bichetti, was his announcer, his co-host, and that was on for a little bit. It might have been a year or two actually, in the teens. I believe it was in the teens. Yeah. Funny guy, but like a lot of comics, comics are troubled. Not a lot of comics, but a good amount of them. I've known, unfortunately, way too many comics who were gone before their natural time would have been up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Way too many. People say, well, if you're in a business for 35 years, you're going to know some people that pass away. No. You're not. Accountants aren't in a business for 35 years and know 45 people that passed away in 35 years. Yeah. No accountant knows 45 co-accountants.
It's weird because comedians always have weird deaths. Yeah. It's never anything just like, oh hey, he passed away and just in his sleep and that's how it went.
Yeah, once in a
No, it's movie. Bob Saget slipped and hit his head. It's like, come on. Why does it have to be a sad death? You can't just
be old, Mort Sahl, 94 years old.
Like Don Rickles.
Yeah, Rickles is 89 or 90 or something.
And he was still doing stuff. And it's I like that they had dinner with him.
Who had? Dinner with Don. Yeah, it was that whole little series. It's funny. I watched that. Some comics were so nice and deferential You know, they'd sit there and sort of feed him lines and let him go. And some comics were sitting there and just talking about themselves the whole time and not letting him say anything. You're at a fucking dinner with Don Rickles. Let the fucking guy talk.
Yeah.
You
Just
know?
let the man bestow wisdom upon you.
The best one was with De Niro and Scorsese because they love him. When you see anytime they're with him, you could see they love the fucking guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And I'll tell you what's weird about Don Rickles is I'm from Queens, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and in Queens, New York, and I'm not saying this. I love Don Rickles. I'm not saying this to belittle Don Rickles. There's guys like him are a dime a dozen. A guy walks in. A guy walks in the room. Hey, look at this guy over here. Hey, nice hat there. What do they say? Oh yeah, cowboy hat. Yeah, you're a cowboy. Yeah, you sit on you're the fucking cow. Forget boy. I mean that kind of thing. You know, what I mean those guys.
Well, that's what I heard. Like they said when De Niro in his neighborhood, he said like one guy's like sang, one guy's roasted. He goes, he hung out with the roasters. That's why like when he was with Don Rickles, he was like all excited because he's like, I'm on my game now.
Oh
like,
yeah. There was a great comic, oh God, I forgot his name, who was on SNL for like one season briefly in the 80s. And he was a good friend of a friend of mine. And he would come down to New York Comedy Club once in a while. And he was a real smart aleck guy. And he would make fun of everybody. He'd sit in the bar area waiting to go up. And we'd all sit around in a circle. And he would stand there. And you'd sit there and you'd be all excited. Oh, he's gonna get to me and he's gonna roast me. And it meant like you were part of the crew, like you belonged there, right? Because he was gonna make fun of you. Oh yeah, I love that. I love roasting. I did a lot of roasting for a while. I had a really good, I don't know what you call it, business in like 2008 about to now, but not so much now, but 2008 on. Where I was hired for private party roasting. I did a lot of work. I got a lot of work online.
Have you ever went up to the roast battle in Cleveland?
No.
That roast battle league?
No.
You should go out to that.
I did like private roasting. People would hire me for a party. It's my husband's 40th birthday. I would send them, literally, I still do, send them a questionnaire. They fill out the questionnaire. I would write jokes specifically for that person.
So they have like a league up there. Like they're part of like New York, LA and stuff. And like you can travel to go battle other people. Like the one guy from Cleveland just went up to New York and beat the top roaster in New York.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. I did it once. I have a hard time being mean to people. Like, you know, coming up with like jokes to make fun of people. And I was like, I don't know why. It's like I have a hard time doing it. I'm trying to get better at that.
I did those 3 for Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only 3 roast battles I ever did were those 3 for Chuck. And it was a ton of fun. The first one was the best one. The other 2 were close, but I think I won all 3.
Yeah, I'll have to send you the I'll send you the information for it. You should check it out.
I will.
Because it's a good crew up there. And I think you'd have a lot of fun up there.
All right. I will check it out.
Yeah, there's another comic. I was like with talking to you and stuff, like there's another comic is like I feel like you should definitely meet that I think that you guys would get along.
Okay.
Yeah, he's from Morgantown. Like he's been doing it for like 12 years. This guy is just it's just weird. Like I don't know how to describe it. It's funny, but he can go into stand up, but he will go in like I can't even describe the show to you. I'll have to show you clips of it.
Okay, I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, we've been going at it for about hour and 37 minutes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't want to take up any more of your time.
I don't usually do anything more than 45 minutes.
That's fair. But yeah, I was going to say we've been going at it for a while. I don't want to take up any more of your time. If you want to tell people where they can find you at, like on
yes, social media yes.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I'm on Facebook, as is every white male over 55. I have 2 Facebook accounts. There's Comedian Buddy Flip, which I'm not even sure why I have that one, but just Buddy Flip on Facebook. And then on Instagram, it's @buddy.flip. I'm sure if you type in Buddy Flip, it'll just be me. There can't be that many other Buddy Flips. But I think that's it. Instagram, Facebook. Oh, there's, what's the one that's off Instagram?
Threads.
Threads, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, Threads. I don't understand that because it's like if I have one joke.
Twitter, but for Instagram.
Do I have to write one joke on every...
No. Nah, that Instagram you can almost it'll automatically
that's
share
right. Instagram will
it.
put it on Facebook for me.
Yeah.
But the Instagram things. Oh, and TikTok I'm on as Snarky Democrat. I have an account on TikTok called Snarky Democrat where it is exactly what it sounds like. I'm a Democrat and I'm being snarky to people. And I also have a Snarky Democrat on Facebook as well. If you're a lefty or if you're a troll, I don't know, or if you want to dox me or whatever the hell they call it, I don't know. There's all these words and I don't know what they mean.
I would definitely put all your links in the episode description and everything
cool.
too.
All right.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on and doing this. Like, I seen you at a couple shows and I was like, he seems like a fun guy to talk to. I think I'm just gonna reach out.
Was I fun or was it?
Oh no, you're definitely a blast. I definitely anytime you want to hang out, like I'd hang out with you.
Cool. Well, there you go. I can sleep tonight because I got the seal of approval.
There you go. All right.
Thank you.
Yep. See you guys.